Good morning, Professor Cavallucci. It's great to have you here today.
Good morning, Monica.
You are a pretty important person as far as ETRIA is concerned, right?
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit more about it, about your role?
Okay, so just to remind a little bit about ETRIA's history, we started ETRIA program. It was ETRIA project. In fact, it was a little bit before the year 2000, 2008, 98, 99, and there was, as far as I can remember, there was 4 people involved in a meeting, and I remember about Darelman, about Valery Sushkov, about Pavel Livotov, and myself. And we met somewhere in Belgium, and we started to discuss about providing to the world of TRIZ a European model. This is the reason why we call ourselves European TRIZ Association. There was American association, there was Russian association. At those time, it was not really present in China and in Asia, a little bit maybe in South Korea. And we wanted to offer a European way of observing TRIZ. And it was different from the other region of the world. In Europe, we are pretty much concerned about the way TRIZ would have been introduced into academia, for instance, and both into university curriculum, teaching TRIZ in academia, and also performing research on TRIZ, while in parallel, having activities of consulting and of industrial practice and use of TRIZ. And we believe the 3 worlds could meet for a certain period of time. We decided to have this 3-day slot of a big meeting in which all the TRIZ parties, all the TRIZ world could meet. And it was different. We were a little bit disappointed by the fact that in US, for instance, there was not really involvement of academia, involvement of teaching into the big names of the universities involved into TRIZ, into TRIZ promotion, into TRIZ activities. While in parallel, in Europe, it was really from an equivalent perspective, academia, research, consulting, and industry. And we did start from that model, and we proposed it to all of our contacts. And we organized this very first session in Bath, UK, where happened the first TRIZ Future Conference. And then we never stopped until this year.
Okay, thank you very much. So if I understand correctly, the conference has been happening every year in a different city, in a different country in Europe, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit, the notion of Europe in ETRIA is very vague because we don't respect very much the boundaries of Europe. We went, for instance, one year in Morocco.
Oh.
It was in 2019. The idea for us is where we could be useful for TRIZ to soar in a country. We will be in that year in that country to help the promoters of TRIZ in that country to organize a big event in which you will have people from industry, you will have people from research, from academia, from consulting, and it will bring the spotlight on that country and on that particular university. And what we hope is it will happen this year with TRIZ Future 2022. And your university?
I'm not sure if I can call it mine, but yeah, for sure, like Politechnika Warszawska.
At least so, the one in which you were involved into the promotion.
I'm happy to hear that because it would be great if Poland and Warsaw was promoted this way. And of course, it would be great, and it will be great, I hope, to meet you in person and all these amazing people in person and talk to, not online, but offline. Thank you for this part. let me have a look at my cheat sheet. Okay. Professor Cavallucci, who usually takes part in TRIZ future conferences?
What?
Who
Sorry,
usually takes part in
Oh,
conferences?
okay. In fact, we are targeting the three categories I was just mentioning before: academia, people from teaching world, researchers, PhD students, professors, associate professors. That's one part. The second part, the second third, would be industry people, promoters of TRIZ into specific companies. Everybody has heard about Samsung being well known into TRIZ practices, but you also have other companies. Siemens is also deeply involved, General Electrics, etc. We did have also people from LG. We did have people from many other companies, including European companies. And that's constitute a second, third pool of people involved into TRIZ Future. And then there is a third pool, which is more experts from TRIZ masters, TRIZ professionals in the world of consulting and expertise. They are very important. Sometimes we neglect the fact that we need to build bridges between research, academia, and industry. And it's also a key role for the people in consulting world to bring this bridge between academia and industry. So we did have these three categories of people involved, and we are trying at the board of ETRIA, we are trying to keep the balance between these three worlds and make sure that the key player into TRIZ world are present into TRIZ Future.
Thank you. I will start the short list like from the end, because I can imagine that TRIZ masters, they are more than sure why are they in this world. But what about academia and like the business? Let's like focus on academia, because when I think about it, is it just engineers who should consider taking part in the conference, or who should come and listen and take part in it, like in your opinion?
There are several, in my mind, there are several categories of people who should attend. The first category are newcomers. If you have heard of TRIZ, sometimes you have heard of TRIZ for years and you don't know what it is exactly. Coming into TRIZ Future is really a good thing to do, because there will be tutorials, there will be basic elements to be understood by anyone. Even if you start from scratch or from zero, your TRIZ awareness is from zero, you will have access to key entrance elements into TRIZ. And this is important because TRIZ world will have a future if newcomers ever comes every year. So we do need newcomers and a new generation coming into TRIZ, and TRIZ Future is a good place for that. So that's the first category. Then you have those who are a little bit more advanced into TRIZ use, into TRIZ practices, into TRIZ research. For instance, in our institute, we do have PhD students that are also already into TRIZ for a year and a half, sometimes 2 years, and they do have interesting things to say to the world of TRIZ. They discover TRIZ, but they are PhD students, so they have good ideas, inventive ideas, innovative ideas related to TRIZ itself. And we need those people also, people that are a little bit more advanced to TRIZ, that make proposal on how TRIZ should evolve, according not only to the old people like us, but also to the young people, who had novel ideas, breakthrough ideas on TRIZ evolution itself. So that's the second category. And then there are also the industry people. I work very often with people from industry, and a lot of them are asking themselves questions. We feel the power of TRIZ, but we don't know how to handle it. We don't know how to best make the use of what exists in the trees in order for our company to benefit from it. And there will be into TRIZ future probably the most interesting proposals regarding on how to do with TRIZ, which tool be used, on which case study, on which situation. And also, so that's really insightful for people into industry that are willing to be the person by whom TRIZ is entering into a company. Those people are really, really important for TRIZ future. I want to be the champion of TRIZ in my company, or one of them. I need to be at, because I will have there the best practice, the best updated practice, sometimes novelties regarding research on TRIZ, especially this year. Maybe you will have a question regarding information technology and artificial intelligence. These are really interesting things for those people, those who want to become TRIZ professional, those who are already TRIZ professional, and those who are newcomers and who wants to have a first contact with TRIZ powerness.
Thank you. I think it's important what you have said, because it means that you can be like just, how would I put it? You don't have to be genius to join the TRIZ world, right? You can be the beginner and it's okay. For some of us.
Sure. There will be tutorials for beginners, starting from the beginning. The first year we did TRIZ conference, and all the 22 years in which we have organized TRIZ Future, there was always a sessions for beginners on the first half day, in order to, for those who start from zero, not to be completely lost for the remaining 3 days. So there was half a day dedicated to get acquainted with TRIZ basics in order for you to understand what's going on within the next 2.5 days.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, because I consider myself this beginner as well. So, you know, less stress. Professor,
yeah, and sometimes you can pick up, depending on your interest, your own interest, like you are more interested into how TRIZ is taught by professors, or how TRIZ is used into companies, or what is how this successful case studies has been conducted by a TRIZ professional. As a beginner, I would have dreamed to have such an event when I was beginning on TRIZ. There was no such event when I started on TRIZ many years ago. Now there is such an event. So I believe it's a chance for newcomers to come to ETRIA.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will keep like repeating this to young people who should come. Professor, you mentioned AI and IT, so artificial intelligence and information technology, as like phrases included in this year's conference motto. Why are these two subjects important, up to date?
Yeah. In fact, this is a new S-curve for TRIZ. This is why it is so important that it became the motto of the past 3 TRIZ conference, including this year. This year is even a step, because the new rise of artificial intelligence the past 10 years, and the fact that now artificial intelligence became unavoidable within this numeric era for industry. TRIZ does not escape to that. Let me just remind you how TRIZ was practiced 30 years ago. TRIZ was practiced by a master who has the knowledge and was teaching to an apprentice. It was hard. It was a long way. You had 10 years of experience before being yourself efficient into TRIZ. This is the way it was 30 years ago. You need to pair two worlds, the world of problems with the world of answers or solutions. How would you do to go beyond your own knowledge, to bridge these two worlds? Asking recognizing, observing a problem into a given situation is something you could do naturally by observing a situation. But if you want to be efficient into this, you need a methodology to be able to recognize a problem and how to properly formulate it. But if you want now to dig into how to solve that problem and finding element of information from a distant domain, nobody is omniscient. You don't have, nobody is capable of handling the knowledge of the world into his mind. So if you are a very advanced TRIZ expert, you could observe your own knowledge, and you dig into your brain or into your know-how, how to solve that problem. If you are good into chemistry, into mechanics, into other domains, you can dig into the domain that you are mastering. But nobody is capable nowadays to handling the tsunami of information all around the world. You have one new patent every 4 minutes. You have one new scientific article every 3 minutes. How do you want to deal with that tsunami of information every year and constantly? Information worldwide double every 2 years. We can no more do the way TRIZ was doing 30 years ago. A master and an apprentice. It's over. We need now to switch into the way artificial intelligence will help to bridge problems to solutions. There is technology, there are technologies, there are deep learning, there are machine learning, there are algorithms that they understand the language, like natural language processing, and all of these new techniques were not that efficient 10 to 15 years ago. It becomes now more efficient thanks to the openness of some communities, including the GAFA. You look, Google, Facebook, IBM, some other companies are opening their algorithm and their tools. That's a real opportunity for researchers to really make a big jump in research by starting from existing algorithms that are provided for free to the world. And it's a fantastic help for TRIZ to switch to numeric era. So my key point on that is we do need to switch from the old model, master and apprentice, to a new model in which TRIZ is disambiguated. We need to disambiguate TRIZ in such a way that it is formalized. I'm not saying TRIZ needs to be put into equation, but some kind of, it needs to be sufficiently clarified and formalized so that we could operate it in an automatic manner. Maybe not all the tasks of TRIZ, but some of the tasks. Bridging two different worlds of information, a domain in which the problem is and a domain in which the answer is something that could not be made by a single brain anymore. It should be now artificially assisted. And the tendency of many research now to use artificial intelligence within a TRIZ activity is becoming more and more popular. If you simply observe the scientific publication on that topic in the past 5 years, it is booming. And it's a chance for TRIZ to have the community of artificial intelligence and computer science being started to be interested by TRIZ and how numeric methods, artificial intelligence could help TRIZ to switch to the next S-curve.
I see. Professor Cavallucci, do you think that every problem, I mean, this kind of technical problem or problem from the engineering world, let's say, can be solved with the use of TRIZ method, TRIZ tools?
of course, before answering, you need to define what we mean by problem. Let's say we have two categories of problems: the problems that could be solved within a given domain. Let's say problems of optimization. So the answer is within a known boundaries of elements or of elements of knowledge. So if such problem can be called problem, obviously, the answer is no. TRIZ is probably not the best method to provide an answer within a given domain. You do have methods of optimization that are really performing. TRIZ is helpful when you need to escape from that boundary. When you don't have an inventive answer within this boundary, when you need to go beyond. We call it sometimes the Pareto front of optimization. The Pareto front of optimization can be reached with many methods, and some of them are really more efficient than TRIZ because they are totally mathematically formalized. So you could automate the finding of a solution within a Pareto front. When you need to go beyond that Pareto front, I know no other method than TRIZ. And this is what makes TRIZ powerful and different to solve problems. So the answer to your question is, if a problem needs to find an answer beyond Pareto front, I believe TRIZ is the only method. Of course, you have also random method or hazardous method, but or luck. But TRIZ is some kind of formalized way of moving beyond Pareto front. So if we take those two categories, problems within Pareto front and problems outside Pareto front, then TRIZ is much more useful for problems beyond Pareto front.
Okay, thank you. I can imagine that if you are a TRIZ master, but you also know some methods, like from this first group, you can feel really powerful when it's about, problem solving.
Yeah, I believe TRIZ master were the people who initiate TRIZ. They are the people who build TRIZ and who bring TRIZ to the world. So I am really respectful for that. But it's really time to switch to something new if you want to ensure a future to TRIZ. Because the notion of master and apprentice is dying in every domain.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It remains somehow useful in art, like sculpture, or, but in TRIZ it couldn't be the future of TRIZ, and especially because TRIZ is dealing with information. So you cannot escape from mastering using artificial techniques to master the notion of information management. You manage information with TRIZ, in fact. So you cannot escape to computerization. I'm not saying a software. I'm saying numeric method to handle sub-TRIZ tasks. Okay.
I think I understand. Unfortunately, I am not an engineer, but yeah, it makes sense. Professor, I think it will be last question because we want our interview to be quite short, yeah? If you think about a person like this newcomer who decides to take part in the conference, to come to Warsaw, to take part in this first half a day preparation time, after these 3 or 4 days, how the person would be enriched in knowledge, maybe with new contacts? What do you think? No, how do you think your life would change as a newcomer if you took part in this conference?
I have to move back to my own experience 30 years ago.
Okay.
When I first came to a TRIZ conference. It was in US. It was given by an American Supply Institute. It was in California. And my first contact with TRIZ, the notion of contradiction really changed my way of observing situations. We are looking at each other through a screen, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. This screen has a diagonal. Okay. If this diagonal is large, then we have better comfort because I will see your face bigger. So it's a bigger visibility, let's say, term in technology. But it will be also interesting to have a very small screen, because if we have a very small screen, we don't have the visibility, but we have less space occupancy in the office. It's very ugly to have a big screen, an enormous screen. So finally, this diagonal, I wanted to have both both large and both small. Just observing life through contradiction is highlighting an inventive challenge. What if we could have a screen that is both large and small? Would be fantastic. Then I would have comfort to see you very large, but I will have space occupancy and my office won't be if I succeed to have a screen that is both large and small. When TRIZ Master presents me life observing engineering challenges through contradiction, it completely changed my life, my professional life as a problem solver. I had weapons now to handle any situation. I could observe this situation, highlight its core contradiction, and consider it as an inventive challenge. My challenge is obvious now. All of my inventive challenges in engineering are obvious now. There are contradictions that I need to disclose from a situation. Just that. I spent 2 minutes to explain you that, but just that totally changed my way of observing the challenge of inventing. The challenge of inventing is not random. It could be formalized. It could be, I observe a situation, I am observing it up to the point that I disclose the contradiction. I know what is a contradiction and how to formulate it. It's already a big jump into my way of solving problem. And just for that, I would advise any newcomers to come to TRIZ Future and this tutorial and learn how to formulate a contradiction.
Okay, thank you. Well, you convinced me to come and learn how to formulate my contradiction. Professor Cavallucci, thank you very much. I think you explained and clarified many aspects of TRIZ. Well, I hope to see you soon, like online and during the conference as well.
Yes, thank you very much for your questions, and I hope to see many of you and newcomers like you to the conference.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Monica. Bye.